Hi, my name is Jérôme Leleu and I'm a founder of CAS in the Cloud. In this tutorial, we will learn how to create a CAS server in one click. CAS is a great authentication solution. Coming from the open source world, it has been adopted by thousands of enterprises and universities around the world. It works with a central CAS server and many CAS clients which must be installed in the applications and websites. It's safe and well known. These clients are easy to integrate. It offers a lot of features from login to logout, with the ability to renew or force the authentication, as well as the proxy feature. It works for mobile as well as for websites. Many authentication sources can be used, like LDAP or database. CAS in the Cloud aims to be the best SaaS solution based on CAS. It's safer and more reliable. It's meant to be a lot easier by providing a UI to perform all the operations related to the CAS server, like the creation and the configuration. It offers the features that are missing in CAS, like the front channel logout or the UI customization. But let's come back to a promise. Create a CAS server in just one click. Like many services in the cloud, before we can create our CAS server, we need to register. To do that, we need to click on the register button at the top right of the screen. On the displayed form, many information can be provided by the user, but just the email, the password, and the terms of service checkbox are required. Let's choose an email, casindthecloud@gmail.com. Let's choose a password. I will keep it for myself. And check the box for the accept the term of service field. We are good to go. Let's click on a register for free button to create the account. For this account, we will receive an email to confirm our registration. It may take a little time. Here it is. On this email, we can click on the provided link to validate the account. As the account has been validated, we can now log in into CAS in the Cloud and manage our CAS servers. Click on the login button at the top right of the screen again, and just fill in with the information we chose. casindthecloud@gmail.com and my secret password. Click on the login button, and here we are. We are now in the CAS in the Cloud web interface. We can see that we are authenticated as we don't have the register and login button. Now we have my servers and logout button. We currently have no CAS server configured, as stated by the message. To create your CAS server, you just need to click on the Create a new CAS server. On the creation page, there are several information. Some are already defined but can be changed, and some need to be defined by you. For example, the name of a CAS server. If you click on the question mark, you will get some help. The tooltip will give you the information required for the field. For example, for the name of a CAS server, you will learn that it's mandatory and that some characters are not allowed. And it will be used to create the URL of your CAS server. So let's choose a name. My CAS server, for example, is a good name. For the location, we can choose between US and Europe. Let's choose US as it's a tutorial in English and fill in with my CAS server as a description. You can define the maximum timeout for the SESO session as well. It's 20 minutes. It can be changed. It's the maximum time during which you will be authenticated at your CAS server. You won't be able to be authenticated more than 20 minutes for your CAS server. There is also the maximum idle timeout for your SSO session. It's the time during which you will be authenticated for your CAS server if you don't do anything. You have also the maximum timeout for a service ticket, which is 20 seconds. It's not a long time, but it's enough to create and validate the authorization ticket used to gain access to the application. The REST API used for mobile or computer application is not enabled. The Remember Me is also disabled. The Remember Me is the ability to stay authenticated even if you close your browser, and you can define how many days the Remember Me will last. Among other parameters, you see that the logout is defined for all the application which will be accessed by the user. It seems to be okay, so let's click on the Create button to create our CAS server. As you can read, you just created your CAS server and it will be available in less than a minute. In a few seconds, your CAS server is created and available online. Let's click on the Information tab to get the information of the available URLs for your server as well as the support information. You have the login URL, the logout URL, as well as the protocol URLs for your CAS server. Click on the login URL. The login page of your CAS server is displayed. If our login page is not displayed in English, we can change that by using the language buttons at the bottom of the page. Let's click on English to have our login page in English. Even if the promise of creating a CAS server in one click is achieved, the truth is that our CAS in the Cloud server is not really useful, as we don't have any user-defined nor any application. Let's check that by adding the service parameter with a fake application. HTTPS test. Application is not authorized to use CAS. So we need to finish the CAS configuration. Let's go back on the web interface of CAS in the Cloud. As we have seen previously, the Information tab displays all the available URLs of our CAS server plus the support information. The Configuration tab gathers all the settings, all the general settings of our CAS server. The Subscription tab is dedicated to the information of our subscription, the price you pay for your CAS server, the supported traffic of your CAS server. The Authentication and Social tabs are both dedicated to authentication mechanisms. On the Authentication tab, you notice that the internal authentication is used to authenticate users. It means that through the login page, you will be able to authenticate users if they are defined internally in CAS in the Cloud. And through the Users tab, you will be able to define these internal users. Using the Services tab, we will be able to define the applications supported by the CAS server. Let's click on Create a new service to create a new supported application. Let's reuse the previous URL we use with our CAS server, https test. It's an AND matching, as it's exactly this URL we want to match. Let's keep the other settings in the same way. The service is enabled. No proxy configuration. It's the default logout type. For identifier and attributes returned during the service ticket validation and the access authorization to the application, we will return the login providing during authentication and no attributes. Let's create our service. Exactly like for the creation of a CAS server, a message is displayed. You just updated your CAS server, and the changes will be taken into account in less than a minute. Let's go back to our login page and hit the refresh button. The application is still not authorized to use CAS, as the configuration of your CAS in the Cloud server has not been refreshed. Let's wait a few seconds more and hit refresh again. This time, we see that the configuration has been taken into account, as the application is authorized and the login page is displayed for this application provided as the service parameters as https test. Let's go back to the web interface to create a user. On the Users tab, click on the Create a New User button. Let's create a user. Let's see, GLELEU, and the same password. By default, the password is hidden, but you can display it if you need. Let's create the user by clicking on the Create button. No specific message is displayed in this case. The new user is taken into account immediately. Let's go back to our login page and use this newly created user. Let's click on the login button to log in. We have been redirected to a new URL based on the application URL https test and with the parameter ticket equal st something. It's exactly the behavior we expect from our CAS server. After a successful authentication, the CAS server redirects the user to the application with a service ticket, which is an authorization ticket. So our CAS server works perfectly. You can get more documentation and videos at casinthecloud.com. We are here to help you successfully build your authentication system.